Hi, and welcome to ECCB Connects. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused disruptions all across the globe, and businesses, in particular small enterprises, have been severely impacted by this. What opportunities does the COVID-19 pandemic present for small businesses across the region? On this episode, we speak with St. Lucian-born Penelope Prospere as she shares her journey of moving from unemployment to entrepreneur during the COVID-19 pandemic. Stay connected with us. We'll share more with you after the break.
Greetings, everyone. The moment we've been anticipating will soon be here. I speak of the public rollout of ECCB's digital currency, Dcash. Today, I am very pleased to announce that Dcash will go live on March 31st, 2021. I repeat, Dcash will go live on March 31st, 2021. Dcash is safer, it is faster, and cheaper. Get on board. Get ready now. And never forget that the future of the EC dollar is digital. So let's make history together.
Penny, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you so much for having me on here, Karina. I have to say that I am immensely grateful for this opportunity. So I'm excited to have this conversation.
Penny, you are currently a budding entrepreneur, but like many people around the world, you suffered a transition during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's when you got laid off from your job. Now, share with us what that experience was like, particularly in the context of a pandemic.
Well, I worked as a flight attendant for a regional carrier, and the signs were on the wall that the world was gradually shutting down. So I think from November of 2019, we could kind of see that, yes, something was coming, something that we should brace ourselves for as we saw the pandemic move across the world. But nothing really prepares you for the day you get the email or the call that says you're temporarily laid off. So I had returned to work from vacation in the end of February, early March, and immediately my flights started to get canceled one by one. I started losing flights, and I thought I was preparing myself the entire time because, like I said, we saw the writing on the wall. But until you get that email and you open it and you see what's actually happening, nothing prepares you for that. It's a ton of bricks regardless.
So you get that correspondence that, hey, you're temporarily out of a job. What next? What goes through your mind, and what's the next plan of action?
I think I took some time, like most of my colleagues, and I grieved. Well, I tried to prepare myself because I had been in a situation with a previous carrier where I had lost my job and I had no forewarning. I literally went to work one day and by the evening, I no longer had a job. So I learned very early on to just start grieving the process. But it's hard when your lifestyle has changed so much and then to be on lockdown in addition to that. So it wasn't just losing the job. It was the fact that shortly thereafter, Barbados went into lockdown. So I had to then, my mental health became a priority because it was a lot to take in all at once.
You've been through the situation where you've lost your job. This time you kind of had a little more forewarning that you saw signs happening. So what's the preparation going on in your mind? Like, okay, there's a possibility that I may not have an income soon. What do I do? How do I organize my steps to make sure that I can survive?
Right. I think once I was able to get myself off the floor, like figuratively and literally, once I was able to pick myself up and sort of dust myself off and be like, we need to be able to eat. Well, by we, I mean me. I need to be able to eat. I need to pay rent. I have obligations. Then I had to turn to what I had already been doing, which was my brand Belcool, where I was making jewelry. I was making bespoke jewelry. And it took a little while to adjust my mind to the fact that I was now a full-time entrepreneur if I wanted to be able to survive. I had been a part-time one. I did it for fun. I did it to de-stress, to sort of decompress from a stressful day job. But now I had to adjust my mindset to the fact that this is what I had to be doing. So I think initially I wasn't necessarily doing jewelry when that transition happened, but I started making face masks because my friends needed them. And it then became sort of the mainstay of my business through the summer until I was in a place where I could create from me rather than just creating masks out of utility.
Let's talk about your business, Belku, you said, and you do jewelry, you did masks. So the COVID-19 pandemic in itself created another business opportunity for you. Tell us more about your business and your brand.
Okay, so like I said, Belku was never meant to be it was never meant to be a business. I started creating jewelry in Antigua when I moved to Antigua, maybe about 7 years ago. I think it was 2013. And it was, again, just something to help me deal with the stresses of the job, the rigors of the job. I was living in Antigua. I didn't really have that many friends. I lived alone. Nobody really lived around me. And I just thought to myself, I've always loved jewelry. And why not just start making it myself? It was never something that was meant to be, a money-making thing. And it wasn't until I think the last quarter of 2019 was when I finally was able to get the push, because I was fed up of people telling me, you need to make this a business. You need to make this a business. And the encouragement was overwhelming that I could not ignore it anymore. So I decided to make the transition at the end of October, September 2019. And thankfully I did, because, it's been sort of what's allowed me to live over the last year.
Lots of people have hobbies like you. Like you said, you did it, to help with your mental health situation and just as something because people around you liked it. Tell us about the specific strategies that you relied upon to make your business viable and you make it a source of income that could sustain you.
From the minute I sort of had it, I sort of developed a greater belief in myself, because I didn't refer to myself as an entrepreneur until the end of last year. So I had been doing this for a while before I could even say, like, I'm a businesswoman. I never considered myself that. I just always considered myself as a creative. That was because, as far as I'm concerned, I can make things till I'm blue in the face, but I never considered myself to be a business person, because that's an area that I'm constantly working to learn more about and to refine. But I started taking some business coaching, like online business coaching, and I did a free challenge here, and it's through those coaches that I've been able to develop, first of all, the confidence in myself, which is still a work in progress as a business person, but also my brand story and learning about certain techniques that I need to employ. Learning social media has been one of the biggest things to changing the trajectory of my business. Because, we all know this. Like, if you're not on social media now as a small business owner, what are you doing?
You're not anywhere.
But the thing is, the algorithms change constantly. Like Instagram and Facebook are now one, like WhatsApp, all of this. Like, we have to be learning all of these strategies, learning how the algorithm works, because it doesn't always benefit small businesses, and they want you to spend money on ads. So in addition to, it was confidence in myself, developing that, sort of banishing the limiting beliefs that told me, you don't know how to do this, you don't know enough about business. That's not, this is not for you. And then it was developing a brand story. What is the story of Belku? Who is my ideal woman? Who's my ideal customer? What is my message? And then it's looking at actual strategies to market my business. The next step for me now, I'm focusing on is financial management, which I would love to get some more training in and some more supporting, because now that it feels like this is full time, I have to really take that seriously if I want to scale my business.
COVID-19, being laid off, propelled you into this situation. It's sink or swim.
Absolutely.
Is there any other inspiration that you rely on to keep you motivated and keep you pushing, get those creative juices flowing?
I think it really is prioritizing what happens up here. Also taking care of my body has been really important because being stuck inside for months wreaked havoc on my body as well as my mental health. So I started walking, I started trying to eat better, taking better care of myself, because anybody who's a creative knows that if your mind's not right, the work does not necessarily reflect. And so taking care of myself, really like focusing on my overall health has been really like critical, because I mean, none of us could have anticipated that a year out, this is where we would be. And especially like for me living in Barbados, we went into like a second lockdown and we're coming out of it now. So being able to like stay centered and stay focused and grounded has really been important in terms of just staying the course, because it's so discouraging. It's really, really discouraging.
You spoke about venturing into financial management, and you have your jewelry going. Are there any plans to expand in other directions as you grow your brand?
Absolutely. In addition to Belco, I also have a beverage company which I started, which I do seasonally. It is something that I started doing actually during lockdown. I started doing before lockdown. In terms of, I was doing eggnog for Christmas for my friends just because I wanted them. I missed being home at Christmas. Working in aviation, you oftentimes don't get to spend holidays with your family. So I had a friend who gifted me a bottle of like Bajan rum, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And we were able to have a small gathering, and I started making rum punch, and people were like, you should sell this. I was like, no, I'm not selling this. This is literally just for, for us. We can have like 5 people come over. It's just for us, we can sit down and lick our wounds from the week. And that sort of
started another venture.
So I now have another company called Tista Beverages, where I do eggnog seasonally, and I started doing a Caribbean punch, which is like a version of a rum punch but juicier. In terms of Belco, I started doing retail last year. I entered a retail space with other creatives, which was really integral to growing my brand visibility, because that's a space where it's painters, it's chocolate producers, other kinds of visual artists, jewelry makers, and we all share one space. Well, since the lockdown, I've had to separate from that relationship for just a little bit until I can sort of, figure out what's next. But having spaces like that where creatives can collaborate and be in one spot was really, really helpful to me, having like a really great Christmas season in terms of sales and growing that visibility. In addition to my own creative ventures, so with my beverages, Tista Beverages and Belco, I've also started to work. I'm one of the newest members of the team for Digitized Solutions, which is a tech startup company that looks at bringing scalable, mobile, and cost-effective software solutions, ITC solutions, to developing countries. We're based out of St. Lucia. However, obviously, COVID enables us to work from anywhere. So in St. Lucia, in Barbados, in the US. But one of our most exciting new projects is IVAX, which is a vaccination management and monitoring system. So what we hope to do is really make the vaccination rollouts within the region firstly, and then, like I said, to other developing nations, really make the vaccination rollouts more efficient. So we're saying from start to finish, the app will actually allow you to input your vaccinations, how many vaccinations you have, allow people to register for their vaccinations, get automated appointments, locations, dates, and times. And it also allows the clinicians administering the vaccinations to be able to input a patient's information all into one system. The system is also, because it's also mobile, we can also have people going into the communities, registering people who are not technologically savvy, who lack that proficiency. So in a way, we can actually build a community, I think in some places, rebuild a community spirit whereby your neighbor is elderly, she doesn't want to leave the house, but you can register her through your cell phone to get her vaccination. She has a date and time, yes, And she does not have to wait in line for hours because she has a window. So her exposure is reduced. And then her follow-up can also be entered directly into the application. And what also is two exciting things. It also produces, a digital vaccination certificate, which, as we know, that's the conversation happening in the world now in terms of travel, people being able to dine in, people being able to, the CDC has changed their regulations. Well, they're changing them. So people who are fully vaccinated can actually interact with one another without masks. And it also, for our governments, it gives them real-time information to allocate resources efficiently and throughout the communities where these vaccination programs are being rolled out. So if there are changes to vaccinations, there are delays, appointments need to be rescheduled, it does all of that.
Yeah, it sounds very impressive. I mean, look at how COVID-19 has created another business opportunity, and one that is going to help, has the potential to help make our region as cutting edge in terms of vaccinations as any other of the developed countries.
Absolutely, because these software solutions are not novel, but what we're trying to do is make them, and because they're customizable, these small economies can pick and choose what features work best for them. They can also adapt the software to other healthcare services and resources that they want to be able to manage more efficiently. And it's, like I said, it's mobile, scalable, and it's cost effective.
As we wrap up, what would you say to other budding entrepreneurs about starting a business, basically, and then dealing with it, with all the complications that COVID-19 has presented us?
The first thing for me is valuing your talent. I think for so many of us, we give things away because we don't necessarily believe in the value of what we can do. And when one of my business coaches started talking about that, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I kept giving stuff away because I thought people wouldn't pay for it. But COVID-19 really thrust me into a space where I had to say, okay, what I do is valuable, it's meaningful, people want it. So I have to be able to have that belief first and foremost. Secondly, financial literacy, financial management, business planning, strategizing, all of these things. I think if I had known what I know now a year and a half ago, I would have been in a different position, but I'm happy that I've had the opportunities to learn some of these things, and I can continue to learn because avenues and people have been showing up in my life that have been able to sort of give me some direction. Going forward, I think entrepreneurs, small businesses are what is going to save our small economies and what is going to actually help us rebuild as we move forward, because we now know that when we had to cut off the rest of the world, businesses were growing, things were starting up, little small businesses started here, there, IG businesses, Facebook businesses. So we've seen the power of what small businesses can do for our economies. And I really think that moving forward, governments of the region need to really encourage us, provide us with some more resources, especially education, so that we can continue to grow and bolster our economies moving forward.
Penny, thank you so much for speaking with us on ECCB Connects. Your story is quite inspirational, and I hope budding entrepreneurs out there hear your advice, especially the piece where you spoke about learning to value your talent. So many of us have these things and we don't realize the potential we have to make it into viable businesses. So thank you for sharing that
Absolutely.
Advice with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Karina. Again, thank you. These opportunities don't happen for small business owners like me too often. So on behalf of all of us, thank you for providing this platform.
We've come to the end of another episode of ECCB Connects. Join us next week for another program when we share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. Thanks for watching.